Hello and welcome to this presentation about transforming higher education, addressing challenges in English medium instruction through professional development. Today we're going to look at these topics: EMI and higher education, EMI and professional development, the study that I'm using for this presentation with the results, and a discussion on artificial intelligence and professional development, and finally the conclusions. So, over the past 2 decades, higher education has undergone significant transformations. Major initiatives such as the Bologna Declaration, the establishment of the European Higher Education Area, and various mobility programs for students and staff have all reshaped the educational landscape. And one of the outcomes of these changes is the rise of English taught degree programs, or ETP, in non-English speaking countries. As globalization accelerates, English as a medium of instruction, or EMI, has become a common practice in university to attract international students, but also to prepare local students for the global market. So this cultural and economic interconnection are reflected in the internationalization of higher education. In this context, the spread of English as a lingua franca, or ELF, adds complexity but also represents opportunities. The fact that English is used as a global means of communication is particularly true in education and higher education. In fact, with the term Englishization of higher education, we want to imply the increasing presence, importance, status of English at all levels in the educational domain, as stated by Lambers and Ultragen. So let's talk about EMI and let's talk about the different definitions. As we can see in this slide, we've got several definitions associated to EMI. The most common one is the one used by Macaro, and I read, is the EMI is use of English language to teach academic subjects other than English itself in countries or jurisdiction where the first language of the majority of the population is not English. So, differences aside, these definitions, they all share two common aspects. First of all, the word EMI is only used for higher education settings. We might be familiar with other acronyms like LIL, Content and Language Integrated Learning, which is common in primary and secondary education, while EMI is only for higher education settings. And the other aspect is that EMI focuses on content learning. So despite the language shift, the primary focus of EMI is not teaching English itself, but rather on delivering subject-specific content in English. And so the goal is to ensure that our students understand complex academic concepts while improving their English proficiency as a secondary outcome. But what are the benefits associated with EMI and the challenges? As mentioned before, the goal of EMI programs or EMI courses is to attract international students, but also to improve the knowledge of our students. As regards to challenges, we can see in this figure key research areas with EMI for current research. And amidst these challenges, EMI lectures knowledge is included as a key issue. Teacher knowledge refers to EMI lecturers' pedagogical practices and the need to include other aspects in their teaching that go beyond the teaching of subject matter, for example, element or language support. So this might be representing a problem for EMI lecturers because they are expert in the subject, but they're expert in language teaching. And so one way of bridging this gap is providing professional development courses that are able to improve teacher knowledge in all the aspects that are involved when we are teaching a subject in a different language. As academics, we are familiar with professional development courses. Every year, we have to take courses, we participate in conferences and seminars. But what is the current situation for PD courses and EMI lectures? Well, first of all, this is an under-researched area. Research showed that there's a lack of PD programs, and when they're available, they lack in standardization. Of course, there are some international initiatives like the EQUIP project, the TEC project, but mainly with the lack of standardization, we want to say that each university organizes their own courses for EMI lecturers. We can see in this slide, though, that the need for PD courses for EMI professionals is real. Prestigious institutions like Oxford University provides this course, Oxford EMI, face-to-face and online. There are some other examples. For example, here in Spain, we have the prof teaching of Universidad de Alicante. So the fact that there are some institutions providing these type of courses implies there is a real need for PD courses for EMI teachers. If we look at the current literature of professional development in EMI, it reveals different approaches addressing different issues such as the identity of EMI lecturers or the transformative potential of PD courses and how PD courses play an important role in improving the sense of self-efficacy. So overall, teaching through English requires also a methodological shift, and PD courses should address this by including in their programs issues raised by the latest research. But implementation of PD courses also requires an awareness of the one-size-fits-all model. PD courses, in fact, should consider the stakeholders involved and the local context. And one way of doing so is by identifying the training needs of EMI lecturers. Training needs are, in fact, another area of investigation or professional development in EMI. The study presented here, along with the associated article, is based on my PhD thesis, whose objectives are to identify the training needs of EMI lecturers at Universidad de Juan Carlos here in Madrid, offering some insights on their current teaching practices, and by analyzing their training needs, we want to offer some recommendation for future PD courses. And the methodology that I followed in my thesis is a quantitative methodology. So I created a questionnaire of 33 items divided into 7 sections, as we can see here on this slide. So regarding the participants, 35 respondents were included in this survey. They were mainly teaching in the field of social sciences and law, and the majority of the respondents had a certified C1 English proficiency level. They had also an extensive experience teaching at university level and a minimum 2-year experience teaching in English. So when the participants were asked from the list below, select all the aspects you think should be covered in EMI training in relation to material design, the majority of the respondents stated that course material design and multimedia course design should definitely be included, followed by task, assignment, and syllabus design. The last item was exam design. So we could say that is a holistic approach when it comes to material design, and this is in line with previous studies suggesting that material design is one of the areas where EMI lecturers struggle the most, and they consider to be quite time consuming. So can artificial intelligence solve these challenges associated to material design and assessment? And what is the impact of artificial intelligence on professional development courses for EMI lecturers? It's quite difficult to talk about the different subjects taught in English, but what we can talk about is the full skills that should be included when teaching different subjects in English. And so AI plays a significant role in writing, especially in correcting errors. Or when it comes to listening and reading, AI can tailor materials according to the learner's proficiency level, or listening platform using AI tools to generate exercises based on the specific accent, vocabulary, or topics. And also, AI-based robots can act as conversation partners, and they can improve, obviously, our students' conversation skills. Other applications of artificial intelligence are used in translations, for example, and also in classroom management. So there are many examples of artificial intelligence tools for material design. The one that I used, for example, was Course ENI, which creates design courses. I downloaded one of our teaching guides. In this case was corporate accounting, and I created 5 module course. But then what I did, I integrated this with ChatGPT, creating specific activity for EMI students who were not familiar with some of the vocabulary associated with corporate accounting in English. Another interesting tools that I've used during this year is Synthesia, turn text to videos in minutes, where you can choose a template, you can choose an actor, which is in an avatar, you can add your script, make changes, and it creates a video. And this is very interesting for teaching in English, because we had to rely on pre-recorded listening many years ago. Now with YouTube, things got better, but this is a game changer, because you can create your own video, you can add your own script, including specific material for specific subject and targeted to specific student needs. So definitely artificial intelligence is the future for course design. But when it comes to material design, in order to deliver EMI effectively, particularly in a classroom where students are learning in a language that is not their first language, a strategic use of multiple AI tools is critical. So these tools complement each other by addressing different pedagogical needs. For example, they can target diverse needs. Even if we're teaching the same marketing class, we might have different students with different proficiency level. We can also use this tool to support occasionally language and vocabulary for a topic where students struggle the most. And we can also facilitate the classroom engagement and participation. We know that speaking is one of the major issues in language teaching, and especially in EMI classes where they're learning the subject matter through a medium of English. When we look in an assessment, which is another area of concerns for our respondents, while AI has promising uses in both improving assessment and providing feedback, there are still major concerns about its role in cheating, for example, or the reliability of the current tools to prevent the misuse of AI tools in education. An example of AI tool that can be used in assessment is Grade, which claims to grade all different subjects, recognize handwriting, and provides feedback on approach and understanding. To conclude, we can say that AI has improved material design and assessment. In EMI, we're looking at a strategic use of different AI tools in order to target all the different pedagogical needs that are involved when teaching in a language that is not our first language. But in order to do so, we need to include artificial intelligence in PD courses for EMI lectures. Study shows that developing literacy is important not just for students but also for lecturers and for educators. As Bannister points out, GenAI has the potential to dramatically alter all the aspects of education in the EMI higher education sector. But in order to have a positive impact, we need to include artificial intelligence in our PD courses. Examples of the integration of both have had a positive impact, especially in the sense of self-efficacy, which again is particularly important for us lecturers teaching in a language that is not our first language. Finally, we can say that research is just at the very beginning and further studies are needed into the role of the educator's perspective in integrating AI. Here are the references that I used for this presentation. Thank you for watching, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.